Hello and welcome to Tech Observer webinar on powering government for a network-ready future in association with VMware and Intel. Dear technology leaders, as you know, cloud computing has become the de facto platform for innovations, and most of the organizations are expected to deploy some forms of hybrid cloud or multi-cloud. However, adopting cloud has its own challenges for public sector organizations and government departments. Some of these are an organization's ability to overcome silos, risk-averse culture and reducing IT complexity while ensuring the secure delivery of modern applications and IT services. While cloud networking and security is implemented differently across various cloud platforms, it raises management cost and complexity, thereby resulting in reduced productivity and innovation. A better outcome can be achieved by breaking down the traditional administrative network that run in silos by delivering consistent networking and security for applications running natively on public clouds. Instead of infrastructure that run in silos and drives up complexity and operational expense, IT leaders in the public sector must look for global security policies and precise control across virtual networks, regions, and clouds. In this webinar, our speaker will talk about how government organizations can accelerate their hybrid cloud adoption and how they can take advantage of the benefits of some of VMware's solution. I once again thank all of you to join the webinar. Today, we are joined by Mr. Vivek Lodha, who is a security specialist at VMware India. He holds various industry certifications such as VMware Certified Network Virtualization Implementation Expert and double CCIE certification in routing and switching service provider. He has diverse and extensive experience in solutioning, migration, and designing of software-defined data center, service providers, and hybrid cloud infrastructures. Now I would like to invite Mr. Vivek Lodha to deliver his presentation. Over to you, Mr. Lodha.
Thank you, Ankush. So, like you said, today we are going to talk about how VMware can actually help different government organization in building a private cloud, and how we can seamlessly extend that cloud over to multiple public cloud, and in doing so, how we can achieve a consistent network and security layer across all of these diverse workloads. So with this, let me start. So before I actually get into the nitty-gritties of the solution, I would just want to spend a couple of minutes on this slide where I think all of us today, we are used to one-click experience, whether it is about ordering online groceries, ordering online things from Amazon or maybe Flipkart, right? So all of us are used to a one-click experience today. And if you think about a public cloud environment like, let's say, AWS, with few simple click on AWS today, what I can do is I can create a network on demand, and this network gets actually created without logging any tickets. There are no wait times, there are no truck rolls, and there are no additional time to deliver all of these services, right? All of the network and security services which are required for a workload are provisioned on demand. And if you step back a bit and think about it, right? When you're, let's say, creating a VM or creating a machine on AWS, nobody is going ahead and configuring the network and security services on physical hardware, right? All of this is actually delivered through software using some sort of network and security virtualization. And this is what we are going to talk about today. How we can get that similar experience within your data center is something which we are going to talk about, and leveraging this, how we can actually create a more secure architecture, uh, having consistent policies across, having delivering consistent policies across on-prem and across public cloud. So this is something which we are going to cover today. Now, if we look at VMware as a company, so what we essentially did was we virtualized the compute, right? And with compute virtualization, what we essentially did was using compute virtualization. Now, on any standard x86 server, you could actually run your virtual machines or your applications, right? Now, what we did was we took out the intelligence which is typically there in a physical hardware, and we put it into a virtualization layer, right? And doing so gave various advantages in terms of high availability, in terms of cost savings, right? So because now you can have any standard run-of-the-mill x86 hardware, and you put a software layer on top of that, and you start provisioning applications on top of that, right? Now, if you look at the data center, if I look at data center, right, there are three main parts in a data center. One is compute, which is we have already virtualized that. The other main part is storage, which is essentially storage virtualization, which is HCI, right? So there are a lot of HCI offerings today in the market. And the third main pillar of data center is essentially network and security, right? And to deliver this network and security services, you have all this hardware which you see in this slide, right? You have switches, different routers, firewalls, load balancers, different sort of security appliances, going from firewall to IDS IPS to a next generation firewall to a UTM appliance, right? So you have all of these hardware equipments delivering all of these capabilities today. Now, what we did, or what we thought from a VMware perspective, is that why not go ahead and virtualize all of these components as well, right? So why not take all of these components and put it into the hypervisor layer itself? So this hypervisor layer is already there within your data center. So what we have essentially done is that in this hypervisor layer, we have put additional controls around network and security, which are around routing, firewalling, load balancing, and securing your applications. So this is essentially what we have done with network and security virtualization. And obviously, we have gone ahead and extended the same controls to public cloud. And when I talk about network and security virtualization, this is not only limited to VMware hypervisor. So we support other hypervisors as well. And even if you have workloads which are running on bare metal servers, we can go ahead and provide similar services for bare metal servers as well, right? Now, to help you visualize this in a better way, so this is your this slide will actually help you visualize in a better way. So this is essentially a typical data center. So on the left two racks, you can see these are essentially servers where you provision your applications, and the right two racks are the racks which are essentially used to provide network and security services for the applications which are running on the left two racks, right? So you have racks of firewall equipment, you have racks of load balancers, you have racks of IDS, IPS, and today going forward, you have racks of analytics server within your data center as well. Now, essentially, what we have done from a VMware perspective is we have gone ahead and we have virtualized all of these components, and so we've gone ahead and virtualized all of these components. So essentially, if we talk about typical today in your data center today, what is happening is essentially this is something which is happening. So your applications, if you have to start protecting your applications, start firewalling your applications, or let's say start delivering load balancing capabilities to your application, what actually happens is the traffic moves out of these servers, goes to all of these hardware appliances, and then comes back, right? So this is something kind of hairpinning which we today do in a traditional data center, right? And this not only stands true for load balancer, this also stands true for a firewall and for a IDS IPS appliance as well. So even if I have to start protecting these applications, what I will do is I'll send all the traffic to your firewall, protect the application there, and then send the traffic back, right? Similarly for IDS IPS appliance as well. Now, there are a couple of things, right? First thing is that all of these hardware appliances are kind of a bottleneck because you are essentially limited by the throughput of these hardware appliances. So today, let's say if you have 10 gig throughput available in these hardware appliances, and tomorrow if your traffic increases from let's say 10 to 20 gig, what you essentially do is you essentially go ahead and replace these boxes and put in boxes which have more bandwidth, which have more throughput, right? That's what you typically do. So this is not a scalable architecture, and that's not how all the cloud providers are providing all of these services, right? So that's what we did. What we essentially did was we virtualized all of these components, and we distributed all of these capabilities closest to your application. So whether it is a load balancer, whether it's a firewall, whether it is an IDS IPS, all of these virtualized into software, distributed out to your applications, providing all of these capabilities closest to your application, right? And the newest thing which we have done is we have essentially today there are customers who are doing a lot of analytics within their data center as well, right? So for this analytics, again, you have racks of servers doing this analytics. Now, typically what happens is that for doing analytics within your data center, what you do is essentially you send the traffic from your servers to these analytics server, right? And that's where they do analytics. And essentially what we thought about it is that why not take these analytics capabilities and again distribute it out to your servers itself. So let's take the analytics capabilities and distribute it out to your applications, right? So all of these capabilities delivered closest to your application. This will help you in reduction in terms of cost. It will provide you a better way of securing your application, because now you can start doing something called zero trust security, where you start protecting every application with a firewall right in the hypervisor, right? And obviously you can save on power and cooling as well. So introducing NSX. So NSX is a complete layer 2 to layer 7 platform, delivering your traditional network and security all into software. So if the different components which we deliver are switching, routing, firewalling. Uh, uh, Recently, almost 7-8 months back, we acquired a company called Avi, and essentially this has given us advanced load balancing capabilities. So when I say advanced load balancing capabilities, that means GSLB functionalities, content switching, all of these delivered through software. In fact, it's a full-fledged ADC. When I say ADC, that means it also has WAF capabilities, right? Web application firewall. All of these again entirely in software. And also for your newer workloads which are containerized, running on a Kubernetes orchestration platform, or maybe using Red Hat OpenShift, we also have a service mesh offering which can go ahead and secure your containerized application, and that application could be running on-prem or across a public cloud as well, right? And on the right you can also see we have made a lot of inroads into WAN space as well. And in fact, if you see some of the latest analyst reports, we are actually the leader in SD-WAN today, right? Surpassing a lot of traditional hardware vendors as well. So we have this VMware SD-WAN platform, which is essentially called VeloCloud, which delivers you SD-WAN functionality as well, right? So complete layer 2 to layer 7 network and security services, all of these delivered into software, right? So this is essentially NSX. Now, from a use case perspective, these are the 4 main use cases which we have seen our customers adopting NSX for. So now what we'll do is we'll spend some time over all of these use cases. The first case is security. Uh, so typically, if you see the current security architecture, which is protecting your parameter with a UTM appliance, with the NGFW, with a firewall, right? What we've seen with this architecture is that although we have been spending a lot of money on acquiring these boxes, but still every other day we see some or other breach is happening, right? Now why that is happening is because there is something wrong with the architecture of how we are deploying these devices, right? So let's talk about how essentially we can deliver a better architecture for securing your application. The second use case which I'm going to talk about is essentially in this new era. A lot of organizations, including government and PSU organizations, are looking to leverage public clouds. For government organizations, those are essentially mighty impalant clouds. For example, AWS, Microsoft Azure, right? All of the SIFI, all of these public clouds are today mighty impalant. Let's see how virtualizing network and security can help you deliver consistent and network and security across these across these clouds, right? Because once you deploy your application on a cloud, there are challenges around migrating your applications from your on-prem to your cloud. And then from an operational perspective, you need to have a consistent way of securing and managing your application across on-prem and as well as public cloud. And the third use case, which I'm going to talk about, is around automation. That is how we can deliver a public cloud experience for your on-prem private cloud, right? So how can we deliver a self-service portal where users can come and deliver or provision applications with complete automation? And the fourth main use case is around modern applications, because typically what happens is that once you start modernizing your applications, getting into containers today, largely you have monolithic architecture, right? I mean, you might have virtualized it, but still it's a monolithic architecture where essentially you have different tiers of for your application, let's say web app DB, right? But tomorrow if you move into a microservices or a modern application-based architecture, what will happen is that you will have thousands of containers running in your environment, right? Now, to provide networking and security for those containers, you need a solution, a network and security virtualization, and that's what we deliver using NSX as well. So we are going to spend some time over there as well. So now, let me get into all of these use cases. So like I said, from a security perspective, there is something broken with the current architecture today. Because why? Because what we are doing with the current architecture is we are only focusing on the perimeter. That means we have next generation firewalls, UTM appliances at the perimeter, but east-west is something which is typically left unprotected. That means if any attack, any malware comes inside your data center, and if you don't have east-west control, then from one application or one VM to another VM, it gets very easy for that application, or it gets very easy for that malware to move around, right? Because you don't have east-west control. And this is how most of the attacks have been happening, that they will come and sit within your data center, maybe through a low priority system, through a low critical system. They'll sit there, they'll do some port scanning, try to leverage the open ports and move to a critical system, right? And that's how they do it. So if you don't have east-west control, then typically you are prone to all of these breaches. So that's where a new way of securing your infrastructure or securing your data center is essentially called microsegmentation, or essentially zero trust security. So what you do in microsegmentation is that you essentially provision a firewall for every VM or every application, right? Like I said before, with NSX or with VMware, we not only take care of your virtual or of your VMs which are running on VMware environment, we go ahead and today we support other hypervisor as well, right? So if you have KVM running, we can go ahead and protect that as well. If you have applications running on bare metal, we can go ahead and do that, right? And the best part about running a firewall or securing your application at this layer is that from this layer we essentially have visibility into your complete application. So I can look at I can go ahead and see what kind of OS is running, what kind of VM is running, and then based on these attributes we can start configuring firewall rules. So I don't have to only create firewall rules based on IP addresses. I can essentially create rules based on a lot of these attributes, right? Which actually makes it easier for me. So essentially, I can start creating or firewall rules for every virtual machine. So it is like every VM is getting protected using a firewall. And this can be a VM, this can be a container, this can be a bare metal server as well, right? So we support all different workloads. Moving forward, the second use case, and also when I talk about, just to spend a minute here as well, I'm not only talking about a layer 4 firewall here. So today we have layer 7 firewalling capabilities, and with the latest release of NSX, which was out last week, right? We have also introduced IDS IPS capabilities as well. So there is native IDS IPS capability as well available into NSX now. So I can go ahead and replace a physical firewall completely using NSX today uh, in your data center and provide you from layer 4 to layer 7 firewalling capabilities. The second important use case which I wanted to talk about is multi-cloud networking, because once you deploy your application across on-prem and across multiple cloud, there are own set of challenges there, right? And what are those challenges? Those challenges are essentially operational in nature, because the way you manage, let's say, a SIFI cloud versus a AWS cloud versus a Azure cloud is pretty different, right? There are different ways of configuring policies in both of these in all of these environments. There are different ways of configuring security policies across these environments, right? So you essentially require different skill sets, different tools to manage your on-prem environment, manage your public cloud environment, right? And this becomes a problem when your environment grows and you start leveraging multiple public clouds, right? Because for one service, let's say for database, you might want to use one particular public cloud, right? But for some other service, you might want to use some other public cloud, right? So this becomes a challenge when your environment grows. So that's where, and the other thing is that all of these public clouds, they have different virtual machine formats, right? So for example, today your Amazon or AWS is running AMIs, right? Which is a different format than what you run on VMware, right? Which is a VMD case, which is different from what you have on Microsoft, right? So all of these are incompatible formats. So you need some way to essentially convert your applications if you have to migrate to your public cloud, right? And also you need a secure way to connect also from your on-prem to your public cloud environment as well, right? So that's where NSX again comes into picture. So NSX actually delivers a consistent network and security capabilities for your workloads which are running on-prem and across public cloud as well. So from the same console, you will be able to manage policies for both your on-prem environment and for your public cloud environment, right? So essentially you create security policies once, and these gets applied to your applications which are on-prem, which are on AWS and Azure. You don't have to recreate those policies again. And then you have a single place from where you get your entire visibility. So essentially, there is something called Cloud Services Manager, which is appliance which you deploy on-prem. And in that appliance, you integrate your various public clouds, right? And once you integrate your clouds, that gives you visibility into what is running in each cloud. And then using NSX, you can go ahead and manage networking and security for all of these workloads, whether it is on-prem or across public cloud, right? So it gives you a consistent way of managing policies across these multiple cloud, right? Second use case which I wanted to talk about is if you have a scenario where you have this kind of environment, right, where you have applications which are on-prem and also across public cloud, you would essentially want a way to connect your on-prem infra to your cloud environment as well, right? So if you invest into NSX, that is also something which comes out of the box. So there's something called NSX Cloud Gateway, which is deployed on public cloud. So leveraging that, you can essentially create a VPN tunnel back to your on-premises environment, and that gives you a secure way of connecting your on-prem infra to your public cloud environment as well, right? We have some other offerings as well. So for example, there is something called Hybrid Connect, which is also part of NSX. Using Hybrid Connect, it actually lets you migrate your workloads at scale from your on-prem environment to your public cloud environment, right? So all the replication, creating a secure tunnel, it also has inbuilt WAN optimization capabilities, right? All of that is something which is taken care by VMware. So from a user perspective, it is completely transparent whether your applications are running on-prem or on a cloud, right? So we actually make clouds invisible, right? So that is something which we do. The third use case which I wanted to talk about is automation, and this is something which VMware has been doing at a lot of government organizations. So there are a lot of government organizations which are today running on VMware powered cloud, right? And when I say VMware powered cloud, that means same experience which you get on a public cloud delivered to you on premises, right? Today, if we talk about application deployment cycle, what happens is that you provision your application or you provision your compute, which typically happens in minutes, right? So you are able to provision a VM today using your virtualization platform almost instantaneously, right? Now, what we have seen after looking at multiple customer places is that most of the time it takes around, provisioning application is around actually configuring your network and security services, right? Because think about it, if you have to deploy a new application, that means you have to create a new network, you have to do routing for that network, then you have to protect that application using firewall rules, so you have to create some security policies, and then if there is any HA requirement from a load balancing perspective, then you have to go ahead and configure that load balancer as well, right? All of that today are pretty manual tasks. So even if you deploy a VM in minutes and then you're spending days in configuring all of these, there are manual forms which different teams will fill, there are silo teams, it will go from one team to another team, right? So it takes a lot of time to roll out a new application, right? So that's where VMware helps you. So essentially virtualizing a network and security component of your data center is very important if you want to deliver a public cloud environment, right? So like I said in the beginning, that if we have to deliver an experience which is similar to public clouds, then we need to virtualize the network and security as well, because this is something which they are also doing, right? So example, if I have to deploy in this example, you can see I am deploying an application which has, let's say, 3 VMs. All of these are web VMs created to a network attached to a load balancer, and then there is a essentially secure, it is also put into a security group, right? All of this deployed automatically, right? So you create this blueprint and then you give it to your end user. So your end user will come and he will have multiple options for his application. He can go ahead and choose an application and then deploy using this blueprint, right? So this is the power of automation which I was talking about. Now, the last use case which I wanted to talk about is containers. I think we've already talked on this, so I'll directly come to this slide. So essentially, VMware NSX essentially provides a single platform, or the same platform which is used to secure your VMs and your bare metal servers can be used today to power your cloud native apps as well, right? It provides enterprise grade networking and security services for your containers. These containers can be using, let's say, Kubernetes orchestration. They could be using Red Hat OpenShift as well, right? So from that aspect, we are pretty neutral, right? So same platform is can be leveraged to provide network and security for your containerized environment as well, right? Now, why I'm focusing on this on this use case is that typically if you have to deploy containers in your environment, what you typically do is for your entire networking stack, right from layer 2 to layer 7, right, you have different components. So for example, if I have to do it on my own, or let's say leverage open source for that, then if I have to provide layer 2 connectivity for my containers, then I'll use probably Flannel, right? Flannel is something which is developed by Red Hat, right? Supported by Red Hat. So you will have Flannel for that. Now, if you have to provide layer 3 routing for your containers, then you will have some separate project, which is Project Calico. Again, this is a separate company. If you have to secure these containers, create security policies, then again, you will leverage something else. If you have to do service mesh, layer 7 visibility, then you will typically use Istio or Envoy, right? Again, some third party company, right? And if you have to provide load balancing, then you'll typically use nginx or HA proxy, right? Now imagine for providing containers, for containerizing my application, I'll have all of these different stacks. I have to integrate them on my own. All of these are not enterprise ready. But versus on the left, you can see NSX can provide the entire stack uh, in a single solution, right? So entire layer 2 to layer 7 stack for your container is something which can be provided using NSX. And also the other thing is, from a troubleshooting perspective, same tool which is used to troubleshoot your VMs, your other applications, can be used to troubleshoot, do day 2 operations for your containers as well, using NSX. Now, this slide I've kept, I just want to stress on it that NSX is not a point product. It's in fact a platform which other all vendors also leverage to deliver their security or other capabilities, right? So if you look at some of the vendors, we have integration, very tight integration with guys like Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Fortinet, Symantec, in terms of security, McAfee. In terms of switching vendor, we have very tight integration with Juniper, Dell, HP, and all of these vendors, right? And in terms of public cloud, in fact, VMware is the only company which has so many integrations with almost all major public cloud, right? Whether it is AWS, whether it is Azure, whether it is Google Cloud, IBM, uh, any public cloud, you name it, we have an integration with that, right? So it is not a point product. It is in fact a platform which supports other ecosystem partners as well, right? So to summarize, and after this, I'll go on to a small demo, and then we'll go into Q&A. Summarize, it is needless to say that the future is in software-defined networking. The future is in virtualizing your network and security, right? If you want to deliver all of these services which we talked about. NSX, in fact, delivers a single stack which can provide all of these capabilities which we talked about to multiple environments. That is, it could be cloud, that this could be on-prem, and also across multiple platforms, whether it could be bare metal server, whether it is VMware virtualization, or open source, let's say OpenStack, or maybe containers, right? And needless to say, we have hundreds of reference customers within India as well, and globally we have thousands of reference customers, right? There are a lot of government organizations which have already adopted, which are already on this journey. Those government organizations range from defense to different industries, maybe railways, some government service providers, right? So all of these have adopted NSX. A lot of financial customers, right? A lot of state data centers, they're already leveraging this kind of solution today. So this is, with this slide, I wanted to summarize all of what we have discussed. So with this, what I'll do is I'll move into a quick demo, and then we'll go into a Q&A. I think we still have some time. So this is essentially a live demo which I'm going to do. So this is a, I just wanted to check you can see my screen. Oh yes, you can see. So this is a live demo which we are going to do. Essentially, this is something called Network Insight, again, part of VMware Network and Security Virtualization platform itself. This tool, this actually gives you visibility into your environment, into your applications. These applications could be running on premises or across public cloud, right? You can see here Azure. Similarly, we have integration with AWS as well, right? And these applications again could be VMs or could be or containerized applications as well, right? So we give you complete visibility. This actually goes ahead and integrates with your physical switches, routers, firewalls, load balancers within your data center as well, right? Because if I have to provide end-to-end visibility, then I need to have visibility of that physical layer as well. And the third thing which this tool does is this essentially looks at all the traffic within my data center and across public cloud as well. And based on that traffic, it analyzes that traffic, and based on that, it recommends firewall policies or security policies which can be implemented to provide a zero trust security within your environment, right? And then other things like it also tells you top talkers, which are the VMs which are generating most of the traffic within your environment, which all of those things, right? Now let's look at some of the things. So for example, I want to have a look at, so for example, what I'm doing now is I'm essentially, let's say I want to look at for, let's say, past 3 days, or let's say past 24 hours, or let's say last one day, I want to look at how much was the complete traffic in my environment, right? So this will tell me in a very short span of time, and obviously I can increase this time as well. I can go up to a month or so as well, right? So I can completely analyze my traffic. Now this is something, this is telling me that last one day total traffic within my environment was around 10 plus, around 10 and a half TB, right? Out of this total traffic, almost 94% was east-west, uh, and almost 6% was north-south. North-south. North-south traffic is traffic which is going out of your data center. East-west is something, a traffic which stays within your data center, right? So this is something which this is telling me, right? Now, if I double click on this, I can see the exact flows within my environment. What are these east-west flows, right? Who is talking to whom? I can filter out all of these things are is possible, right? Let's say I want to look at all the internet flows. I click on this, I can see what all traffic is going to internet. I can filter by countries and things like that, right? Now, very interesting thing is, now I have all of this data, right? And I want to implement zero trust security or micro segmentation within my environment. Then how do I start creating those rules, right? Typically, if you have to micro segment, if you have to provide zero trust security within your environment, what will happen is that essentially you need to know each and every flow within your environment, right? And then based on that flow, you have to create firewall rules. So and this is a pretty big task, right? Imagine today what you're doing is, today you are in fact protecting only your uh, 15 to 20% of your traffic, which is your north south traffic, right? Typically 80% is east west. For that 20% of traffic, you have so many rules. Now if you have to start creating rules for east west traffic, the rules will explode, right? So manually creating those rules is a very big challenge. So that's where using this tool, it can actually recommend me firewall rules. So for example, it is saying that for this VLAN, these are the rules which you can go ahead and implement into NSX, right? So I can just go ahead and export these and then implement them in NSX, right? So this kind of visibility is something which I'm talking about. The other thing is, for example, you want to look at, like I said, top talkers within environment. So I can go to this flow inside. This tells me which are the VMs which are making most noise within my environment. I get this visibility. I can take it in a PDF report format as well, email it out, and things like that, right? Uh, it also tells you latency information, right? So this is essentially latency information for your different traffic within your environment, right? So you can, it actually tells you, for example, from VM1 to VM2, how much latency, network latency is there, right? So all of that information is also visible here, right? Like I said, it goes ahead and integrates with your physical switches as well. So for example, if I, let's say, if I search for Cisco, let's see if there is any Cisco ACI. Yeah, so for example, you can see there is Cisco data source, which is enabled here, or maybe I just, yeah, so these are, let's say, different Cisco components which are already integrated. This is your UCS manager, this is your ACI, different switches, right? All of those are already integrated. And so I can get alerts and related to all of these different vendors, right? I mean, and the other thing is obviously what we also do is we also integrate with the SD-WAN piece. So today I did not talk about SD-WAN, but actually what this tool can give you is this tool can give you this tool can give you exact flows from your branch to your data center, right? So a user who is sitting in your branch, he's accessing an application in your data center, right? So this tool can give you exact visibility for that, right? Who is talking to whom, all of that information is something which is visible in this tool, right? With this, I'll close my demo, and I think now we have some time for some questions, and we can take those now.
So, Mr. Lodha, could you please tell our audience and emphasize on how critical network component is for business continuity for government organization at the moment?
Right. So when we talk about business continuity, right, from a business continuity aspect, your application, or let's say your application could be running, let's say you want to do a DR for your application, right? That DR could be on-prem or could be a public cloud, right? Now, when you do a DR, uh, there are multiple things which you have to take in mind, take into consideration from a network and security aspect, right? One thing could be, let's say, if you are doing a DR, let's say you move application from your DC to DR, your DC is down, you bring up that app in DR. Now, so there is something called RTO, right? RTO is essentially the time, uh, which the time essentially required for you to bring up your services in DR, right? Now that RTO is essentially impacted a lot by things by network and security. That means if you move your application to your DR, are you changing your IP addresses? If you're changing your IP addresses, does that mean that IP address has to be changed somewhere else as well, right? So that takes some time. Do you need to reconfigure your security policies, right? So all of these actually adds to your DR, and I'm only talking about from a network and security perspective. I'm not talking about other things here, right? And same stays for public cloud as well. So virtualizing your network and security can give you some advantages here. For example, using NSX, what you can essentially do is you can retain the same IP address across your multiple sites. So if I do a DR for my application, I don't have to change the IP address for my for my VM, right? The other thing is that all the policies, security policies, which are configured using NSX are global in nature or universal in nature. That means essentially when I create security policies in my DC, they get applied in my DR as well. So when I move my VM, when I bring up my application in DR, I don't have to reconfigure those security policies again, right? And this stands true for your on-prem DR as well and for your public cloud environment as well, right? And that's how some of these solutions can actually help you bring your RTO down during business continuity or during a DR scenario. Do we have more questions?
Yeah. Uh, Mr. Lodha, a lot of people also think that virtualization is an added cost for them. So how do you bring confidence, build confidence in your customers?
Right. See, there are so from a so I think we have to look at from two aspects, right? One is obviously there is a cost aspect related to it. This is the additional cost. So when I bring in network and security virtualization, this is the additional cost, right? But there are various tools which are available to us. Using those tools, we can actually create a ROI we actually create ROI story for our customers, right? Like we discussed during my presentation, for example, NSX today delivers microsegmentation or firewall capabilities. So if I'm implementing NSX today in my data center, can I go ahead and replace some of the internal firewalls, right? If the answer is yes, then that's a direct cost impact, or that's a direct cost which I can take from those internal firewalls and put it into NSX, right? So that's a ROI. Second thing is, today if I've invested in physical load balancers, right, can I go ahead and replace those using NSX? So can I use NSX load balancer which is available with NSX? Again, that is also that's how I can also reduce cost, right? So these are some of the items using which I can actually show cost saving. But apart from that, there are other kind of intangible savings as well, right? So those savings are mostly related to automation, right? So today, if you have, let's say, 5 people who are managing your networking and security, leveraging by implementing network and security virtualization, can I bring that down, right? Can I automate some of those services? Obviously, the intent here is not to reduce the number of people, but the intent here is to free people so that they can do other jobs which are more meaningful, right? Not do repetitive tasks. So can I automate some of those repetitive tasks, and can I have some savings there, right? So that's how we actually go ahead and create a ROI story for our customers. And obviously we have tools to help us out. We have some assessments which we can go ahead and run. So this tool which I was showing you in my demo just now, right? We actually go to our customers and we run this tool in their environment. So this tool actually tells them how much is the traffic, east-west traffic. If I start protecting that traffic using NSX, what is the saving I can get, right? So all of these tools are something which are also available. But then apart from only having a cost-centric discussion, there are multiple other benefits which are available if I implement network and security virtualization, right? Which is more around having a better secure architecture which is ready for deploying applications on public cloud, all of these things. So
Okay,
yeah.
absolutely. One of the other questions that we would like to ask you is like some of the challenges and ambiguity is around the vendor lock-in. You know, when switching to a new technology platform, a lot of customers feel not they are not very confident.
Sure. So in fact, this is what we intend to deliver, right? So we intend to deliver complete vendor agnostic solution, right? So just like compute virtualization today, we give you flexibility in terms of you can run virtualization on any hardware underneath, right? It could be any x86 server, it could be from Cisco, Dell, HP. You can have any of these, right? And
Right.
on top of that, you have a software layer, and on that you run your VMs, right? Similar to that with network and security virtualization as well. Today, the solution is completely vendor independent, so it can work interoperate with any vendor. So our SDN model, unlike some of our competitors, is not a hardware centric model, right? If we talk about some of our competitors, what they essentially do is they provide these SDN capabilities, but those capabilities are pretty much delivered through hardware. So that means if you have to make use of those SDN capabilities, you need to have that specific hardware, specific ASIC in place, and only then you will be able to use that SDN functionality, right? Versus our solution, which is completely hardware agnostic. In fact, it is hypervisor agnostic as well, right? So you might say that you're also doing a vendor lock-in on VMware hypervisor. So my answer is no, right? I today go ahead and support multiple hypervisors. You can have KVM. In fact, I support multiple clouds as well, right? So it's a completely kind of a vendor agnostic uh, solution, and that's how we intend to keep it as well.
Yeah, we have a very important question from Mr. Amit Kumar from ONGC. He
Hmm.
would like to ask, will NSX replicate configuration in DC as it is in DR? How does it impact the RTO?
Right. So I think this is something which we discussed briefly. Uh, yes, we do that. So in fact, NSX in NSX there is a concept of NSX federation, right? So I'm just getting a little technical here. So this federation, essentially using this feature, you will have a primary NSX manager which will be deployed in one of your, let's say, DC, and in your DR, the SDN controller which will be there, right? it will actually take the configuration from the primary NSX manager, right? So whatever policies I create actually gets automatically replicated across my DC and DR, right? So how it impacts my DR is if I move or bring up my application in my DR, I don't have to re-IP that VM first of all, right? Because a lot of time what happens is the applications a lot of time have a IP dependency. That means the way the application is designed, it actually talks on IP. So if you're changing the IP address, that means you have to change that IP address at multiple other places also, right? Because there might be some other application who is talking to this application, right? So
Right.
NSX actually lets you keep the same IP address by extending your network across your DC and DR. Second thing is security policies which you configure using NSX actually gets applied across multiple sites, right? So when you do a DR, you don't have to reconfigure your networking and security policies, and that definitely saves a lot of time during DR scenarios.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is, what size of operations are suitable to move towards virtualization?
Right. So, see, from a size perspective, we have customers who are, let's say, running on uh, as small as 3 servers or 4 servers, right? And then we have customers who are running on thousands of servers as well, right? So, I personally, in my region, have service providers who are running thousands of servers on this virtualization, and along with virtualization, other network and security virtualization and other components, right? Versus I also have customers who are small per se, not small, I'll not say small, maybe their requirement is such that they don't require a very big infra. So there are customers who are getting these benefits for 3 or 4 servers as well, right? So right, yeah, I mean, so there is no such customer as small for this. But yes, as you grow, as you have more applications, you will see that the challenges around security, challenges around networking will grow, right? And that's where probably having this solution will make more sense at that point of time, right? But yes, we have all the
Okay. Um, right. Thank you so much, Mr. Lodha,
right.
for patiently answering all the questions. Uh, I think it was a very insightful presentation and discussion. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks a lot, all the audience, for being here and being part of such a wonderful webinar. Thank you so much.